So this meeting will be moderated by Dr. Priyanka. She is third year resident at Jolly Grants. Please continue.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to everybody. Today, in our discussion of the Oncology Academic Forum, the topic of discussion is concepts of molecular oncology. The speaker is Major Dr. Mirza Kesar Beg, sir. Sir, over to you.
Oh, fine. Good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So, concept of molecular oncology, one of the presentation maybe a month back, we picked up concept of angiogenesis. Now, we cannot go in a sequence form, so that I have picked up the another chapter from a De Vita, the concept of molecular oncology. So basic concepts. So one by one we will cover in Oncology Academic Forum, so that people who left the molecular oncology during the PG days or somehow, so we will start this thing. So molecular oncology, the importance, why it is so important, it helps to understand the cancer initiation, growth, and progress of a disease. Also, we understand the progression of development of a specific pathway for targeted drugs. Unless until we know the specific chain of events which initiate the cancer, we cannot design the drugs which can be specifically target the particular cancer. Also, we can help in the form of familial cancer with the help of molecular biology, and we can progress towards the genetic counseling can be done to prevent the cancer among the family, the familial cancers. The future trials also required a homogeneous molecular group of patients. We collect the group of patients who express the same signal, who express the same receptors, and then we can collect these data and implement in form of a treatment as a targeted or a monoclonal antibodies treatment. So that the second slide said the cancer cells are those cells who can overcome the boundaries of impending unrestrained division, will multiply, and in turn sustain the opportunity to acquire the further aberrations that fuels its growth. Not only the growth, but also flourish its survival and a local invasion, and a further, and as normal cells, if you metastasize somewhere, if you put there, it will die. But these cells maintain their invasion and a migration to the distant organ in form of distant metastasis. That one of the concept was angiogenesis phenomena, which I have already discussed in the last lecture. So, and presence is distant organ. So it's not only the cancer cells keep and then survival in a distant organs. A cancer is a clonal disorder because there is evidence that most of the cancer cells arise from a single cell, and disruption in its regulatory mechanism leads to proliferation and self-elimination. So that the regulatory mechanism of its proliferation and self-elimination is disturbed in the malignant cells. And then the cancer cells, how differentiate from a normal cell, we can see the cancer cells often immortal, or at least have ability to divide many more times than a normal cells. What is the division capacity of a normal cells is usually 50 to 60 times. After 50 to 60 times, normal cells usually go for apoptosis, and after apoptosis, it dies in a program way. But in the malignant cells, it keeps on dividing and dividing. That is the differentiating features. And the cancer cells often grow more rapidly than a normal cells of a tissue of origin. And second, the cancer cells show shows the normal cells to cell interaction, which cell to cell interaction is disrupted. So these cells can metastasize, innovate, and grow in a foreign environment. So what are the changes? What are the things which make the normal cells into malignant cells? So there are different means with the external agents like the chemical mutagens, oncogenes, telomerase disruption, ionizing radiations. In this diagram, you can show this ionizing radiation, chemotherapy, oncogene, telomerase disruption that leads to the completely normal tissue to a frankly malignant metastasizing tumor. So the mutation, what happened in the mutation? The mutation may be point mutation, deletion, translocation, genetic changes, and these changes happens in the second step. The first step, the chemical mutagens, ionizing radiation, ultraviolet lights, and some viruses. They hit the cells, and then the genetic changes occur, and then this dysregulation of a cell metabolism happens. So mechanism of carcinogenesis is a multi-step process with multiple genetic alterations occur in extended period of time. Sometimes these genetic alterations occur in germline at the familial cancer or the germline cancer. Like example, the cancer predisposing syndrome like retinoblastoma. But most of the alteration occur in form of somatic mutations. So there is a one genetic and one somatic. The most of the note this point. The somatic mutations is almost 70% cases, and 30% cases the cancer are germline mutations. So the chromosomal translocation, deletion, and point mutations. This happens. So proliferation is controlled by sequence of signals affecting the cell division and differentiation. The signals may be positive or it may be negative. The occurrence of tumorigenicity as a result of net effect of positivity and negativity balance. Like you see gain of function of oncogene, like BCL2 gene, because it has BCL2 gene was discovered in which tumor? That is in B-cell lymphoma was discovered, and this upregulation lead to the progression of cancer because it is a anti-apoptotic gene, and there is a apoptotic gene is P53. So the P53 checks the cell cycle with a damaged DNA, cells with a damaged DNA, or in case if P53 is decreased and BCL2 is increased, that leads to the genesis of a cancer. So oncogene was the first discovered from a study of retroviruses, whose genome was RNA, that first discovered in animals. And these retroviruses mediated through the cellular genes that has been mutated normal version of the genes. But I mean, what I want to convey you is the basically the oncogene as such is not present in a tissues, human body. It's present in form of proto-oncogene. But the proto-oncogene is harmless gene. It's not going to harm the cells. But what happens when the virus integrate in these proto-oncogene with their genome, this change this proto-oncogene into oncogene, and the overexpression of oncogene lead to the development of cancer. So we have shown you what are the in this figure you see that ionizing radiation leading to translocation, chemical in form of chemotherapy as well. That lead what? Point mutation and retroviruses. These all factors lead to the, in case this lead to the neoplastic growth. Sometimes after these effects, cells survive and it goes to the normal development. So no cancer genesis, but sometimes this if it hits strongly, that lead to the neoplastic growth. So the augmented expression and inappropriate expressions are there. So I've already told you what is the mechanism of proto-oncogene. That's all present in the living mammalian tissues, but it's harmless. But once the retroviruses or ultraviolet radiation or ionizing radiation or a chemical mutagen, these prompt this proto-oncogene into oncogene, the cancer genesis starts. So there are three principal mechanisms by which proto-oncogene can be activated to produce malignant cells. So next slide, please. So the three principal mechanisms by which proto-oncogene can be activated to produce malignant cells. First is a point mutation, which usually occurs in form of change in a single base pair of a DNA, the single base pair change that leads to the point mutation. The example of this thing, the rat's KRAS gene, is basically point mutations happen in KRAS gene. Overexpression or mutation in KRAS gene lead to the various cancer, like in form of colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, thyroid cancer. I will show you the percentage of a cancer which mediated through KRAS gene, a mutation in KRAS gene. So first is the point mutation. Second is the chromosomal translocation. Suppose the oncogene present in the one part of a chromosome, and then during the reassignment or a translocation, that particular gene goes to the some part of DNA during chromosomal translocation. It overexpresses, like chromosomal translocation between chromosome 2 and 8, responsible for activation of CMYC oncogene that leads to the Burkitt lymphoma. And there is another thing. One is point mutation, chromosomal translocation, and third is gene amplification. Meaning gene, proto-oncogene, inform in a multiple copy activation because of a multiple application of multiple copies is made because of nuclear behavior. These lead to the gene amplification, and this is found like CMYC gene is found in neuroblastoma. So critical feature of oncogene is that they act in a dominant fashion. Why dominant fashion? This means if a DNA, you know, the DNA is having a two strands. If even in one strand, if the oncogene is overexpressed, that means it leads to the cancer because it acts as a dominant fashion. It is dominant. If it had been a recessive, there is no problem. But oncogene precisely work in a dominant fashion that lead to the cancer. So oncogene activation occur mainly in two ways. One is the transcription dysregulation, and second is gene fusion. So what is transcription, translation? We must know about the transcription. Means what happens in the transcription. If you go back in the previous history, the transcription defined when the mRNA, which is present, that is a messenger RNA present in the cytoplasm of the cells, it goes into the nucleus. In between the two strands of the DNA, it goes inside between this and take a coding from DNA and comes out again in the cytoplasm and rests on the, and this messenger RNA goes and rests on the ribosomal RNA, rRNA, and over it, the tRNA comes, and then a formation of a gene, particular gene or amino acids is synthesis take place. So the transcription is this. So what happened here in the transcription is the oncogene overexpress several gene function which happen as a result of incorrect expression of oncogene. Like in follicular carcinoma, BCL2 gene is dysregulated by juxtaposition, this position is changed to immunoglobulin enhancement. So dysregulation in BCL2 gene due to its juxtaposition lead to the follicular carcinoma. So the transcription dysregulation is the one step. Second is the gene fusion. How gene fusion is, the example of a gene fusion is chronic myeloid leukemia, in which like the ABL oncogene fuses with BCR gene as a result of symmetrical translocation between chromosome 9 and 22 that lead to the development of chronic myeloid leukemia. So there are also, apart from oncogene, the tumor suppressor gene. It was discovered in 1970s that the tumor genicity of some tumor cells could be suppressed by hybridization with normal cells. Suppose if a malignant cells is kept with what they did in the experiment, the malignant cells is kept with the normal cells, Sometimes they've seen that they change. They have seen that the malignant cells behavior is changed. What was the hypothesis made? That the normal cells contain a gene that can suppress the neoplastic potential of a tumor cell genes because of their tumor suppressor genomes. And this gene was mapped to a specific chromosome, that chromosome number 11. So that chromosome 11 lead to the disruption in a chromosome 11 may lead to the tumorigenicity in the cells. So there is also a chromosomes which basically protect the this thing. And in the same chromosome, on the some chromosome, like a chromosome 17, P53 gene is lies, which do help in the tumor, lead to the apoptosis and then down regulation of it initiative. So function of oncogene and tumor suppressor gene, the identification of a gene in human cancer quickly lead to understanding of function of these genes. Cells may repeatedly make decision to divide, differentiate, undergo apoptosis. All those outcomes affect the cells number. So it is not surprising that one or other decision, these pathways are primary target of oncogene or tumor suppressor gene. So like cells which differentiate, which divide, which undergo apoptosis, in all these steps, this oncogene interfere and lead to the different kind of neoplastic cells which lead to the cancer initiation. And then I'll come back to the telomere's role in a cancer. The telomere is basically caps and protect the end of chromosomes. Like you see here, in the teenager lady, the telomere length, which is shown in the blue, is very high. But in the elderly adult, you see the telomere length is basically short. So basically, telomere caps and protect the terminal end of chromosome. The mammalian telomere consists of sequence of T, T, A, triple G, and their length extends from 1.5 to 150 kilobase. So the length is very important. After the repeated cell division, the terminal end of the telomere cap lost after successive division lead to progressive shortening of telomere cap, which is and after 40 to 60 division, which I've already told you, the 50 to 60 or 40 to 60 division, the cells goes to the stop dividing and goes for a normal cells, goes to the programmed cell death. So after 40 to 60 division, the vital segment of chromosome is lost, and the cells cannot divide and goes for the normal cell death. So this telomere length has been described as a molecular clock for a cell cycle regulation. The stem cells like the bone marrow, gastrointestinal tract, mucosal epithelial cells, as well as cancer cells avoid this process by activating the enzyme telomerase. This enzyme is basically a reverse transcriptase enzyme that polymerizes the telomere repeat offset, makes this cell immortal. So, because telomerase is synthesizing the telomere length after the successive 40-60 division, so that cells is not going for a natural death, and that lead to the uncontrolled proliferation and will not go for a natural death. So that I've already told you regarding the telomere length, and then the gene sequencing, the nucleotides, these sequence. So what is signal transduction? So I've told you there are three things which we should understand, like transcription, translation, and transduction. So transcription I have described you. And what is the after transcription, the translation means the synthesis of protein is a part of transcription and translation. Like whatever the signal which has been received from the nucleus by messenger RNA is being translated to the tRNA, or a particular amino acid is being attracted, and then translation happens. But what happens is transduction. Here a signal is being given to the nucleus through the plasma membrane. The signal transduction is to provide the information to nucleus regarding the environment outside the cell. Basically, signal transduction is a term used to describe the flow of information from cell outer membrane via cytoplasm up to the nucleus. The signal is basically flown through different chemicals like cytokinin, low molecular weight hormone, growth factors, growth factors like transforming growth factor, fibroblastic growth factor, insulin-like growth factors. These factors, cytokinin, low molecular weight hormone, and another protein, they arrived at outer plasma membrane, can enter these cells. So this basically does the transduction. So after coming to the plasma membrane, there are two things. One group is going to act with the receptor on the plasma membrane, and one group goes directly to the nucleus to change the nuclear behavior. So the cell surface receptors are present all around the plasma membrane, selectively bind the individual cytokinin and hormones. These receptor molecules transduce the signal from extracellular domain to cytoplasmic domain. This leads to activation of enzymes such as protein kinase. Some extracellular environment agents can migrate directly across the plasma membrane to reach up to the nucleus, directly acting on a gene, DNA, that is DNA. So both the condition ultimately allow the signal to reach up to its destination, which is the nucleus, thus altering the cellular behavior by altering the nuclear behavior. So one important signal translation pathway involves GTP binding protein. So GTP binding protein, that is a RAS family, these act as a molecular switch for various physiological proteins that regulate the cell growth. So I told you the RAS basically family of a gene. When the mutation happens in this gene, the 30% of all human cancer contain the active mutation in the RAS family, and the RAS is highest frequently found in the CA colon, CA thyroid, CA pancreas. So basically, this is one of the example of the protein, like GTP binding protein, the RAS family oncogene is when get mutated, that's lead to the formation of different cancers. Then I have already told another factor, growth factors such as platelet-derived growth factor, epidermal growth factor, fibroblastic growth factors. These factors bind to the receptor present on the plasma membrane and trigger basically a tyrosine kinase family in the cytoplasm, which ultimately gives signal to the nucleus of the cells and lead to the cellular proliferation, henceforth progression of several human cancers. So these are growth factors. So this is how the RAS gene regulates the tumor progression. In general, transduction pathway are critically depend upon the series of phosphorylation and dephosphorylation reactions catalyzed by the kinase family to regulate the cellular activities. So the kinase family, protein kinase family, is basically regulate these genes. Now we come to the cell cycle. If you see, the ability of cells to produce the multiple copies of themselves essential for continuity of life has been done by highly organized process. A lack of fidelity in the cellular reproduction as manifested by DNA alteration in the cells is a hallmark of cancergenesis. So the DNA synthesis takes place during the S phase of cell cycle, which we know, and between the mitosis and S phase, first gap in activity called G1 phase. That is, G1 phase is basically RNA and protein synthesis phase, and between S phase and next mitosis, a second gap occurred, that is G2, the resting phase. That I see here, the G2, G1 mitosis and DNA synthesis S phase. So this is a very important picture. Like you see, the S phase, G1, M phase, G2. In a tumor, if you get a tumor, a 1 centimeter tumor, you will get the few cells in the G2 phase, few cells in the S phase, few cells in the G1 phase, few cells in the M phase. That differentiation that is called reassortment. That is 4R of radiobiology. One of the R is reassortment. That is helpful for the tumor shrinkage during the radiation. So one of the cells, after repeated division of a mitosis, goes into the G0. So there are 4 types of cells. One is the cells which is a malignant cells, repeatedly multiplying cells. Second group of cells is the differentiated cells, which differentiated after repeated mitotic division, that differentiated and waiting for their natural death. The third cell is G0 cells, that is the resting cells. These cells keep themselves out of the cycle and remain silently present there. That is the resting cells. And this is called also clonogenic cells. These are the cells, you see the tumor recurrence in the some sort after the complete eradication of a tumor after the chemotherapy, radiotherapy. These, if cells, the one cells is lying in the G0 phase, that can multiply again in the malignant cells, lead to the recurrence of the tumor. So this is a cells which is very important. So apparently feel like that we have eradicated the tumor, but the cells which is present in this is called clonogenic cells, which can lead to the tumor, recurrence of a tumor. So there is also 3 things: the cyclin level and a kinase role in the cell cycle. The cyclin, basically the complex phase of the cell cycle like G1, G2, M, S phase, basically depend upon the cyclin and a kinase activity intracellular enzyme that is called cyclin dependent kinase. So I've told you the 4 factors. One is cyclin, low molecular weight hormone, then growth factors. These all are involved basically in the cell cycle regulation and as well as the cancergenesis. So what happens, what does the cyclin level? Basically cyclin level, this cyclin level fluctuates in the different stage of the G1, G2, S phase, M phase. You can see here the cyclin B in this figure. The cyclin B is highest in M phase, and cyclin D, E is highest in G1 phase, and S phase you see the cyclin A in S phase and G2 phase, the peak hitting here. So the moment of cell cycle from one phase to another phase of cell cycle occurs in the enzyme activity given by the kinase activation. So cyclin D and cyclin E is highest level found in the G1 phase, cyclin A in S and G2 phase, cyclin P in G2 and M phase. The cyclin level oscillate with a different phase of cell cycle. That's the molecular checkpoint genes. There are three principal phases of cell cycle at which the checkpoint function. What happened? Okay. So there are three principal phases of cell cycle which checks point functions occur. The G1 phase, G1S phase, checkpoint first, checkpoint second is S phase, checkpoint third is G2 and M phase. These checkpoints are what? Basically, these checkpoints on which the cells is being reassessed by the cytokinin level, by the P53 genes, by the that the cells is ready to go. Should this we allow the cells to go in a different phase? Like a G2 phase, can the patient cells can move to the another phase. So the DNA, if cells move with the damaged DNA, this lead to the cancerogenesis if a DNA is disrupted. So that can be arrested by at one of the phase of the cell cycle. So the most commonly understood is the G1 and S phase checkpoint. So the hallmark of cancerogenesis is a lack of ability to respond to these signals that normally would cause the cells to stop progressing through the cell cycle. The tumor suppressor gene, the P53, appears directly to control the cell cycle. The cells with the damaged DNA in G1 phase avoid replication. Avoid replication and gets arrested in phase and S phase of cell cycle. So the tumor suppressor P53 gene is a critical in a pathway that leads to the G1 arrest. And the cell will not progress with the damaged DNA, so the nothing is problem is there. Nothing amiss can be nothing amiss can happen. But the DNA damage starts the chain of events. What happened if DNA damage? The P53 level increased, and these three P53 increased level lead to inhibition of G1 phase cyclin dependent kinase enzyme, which prevents its phosphorylation of P53 gene, also prevent the progression of G1 phase to S phase. So G1 and S phase checkpoint is most completely understood of all three checkpoints G. So this is the way we should understand the tumor genesis by length of telomere, by the different low molecular weight hormone, and then growth factors, cyclin level. So that basically have a pivotal role in the cell cycle regulation. With this, I end up with this one of the chapter of basic concept of molecular oncology. Thank you very much. In case if any question, you can ask me pertaining to this. If you don't ask me, it will be very pleasant.
Thank you so much for this beautiful session, sir. At the moment, we don't have any questions from any of the participants.
That is very good. That's very good, wonderful. But anyway, the next in the Oncology Academic Forum, I just want to let you know, all the guys, that we will hit on the cell signaling, which is a very important point on which basis we prescribe the drug, precisely the human monoclonal antibodies and targeted therapies in form of tablets. So that is a very, very beautiful chapter. We'll come back with the next time on this cell signaling pathway, which is one of the important chapter of Atevita, usually missed because it's basically quite difficult to understand. And second, is quite boring as well. So anyway, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.